Welcome to TFL's Expert Buyer's Guide, and this one is all about brand new 2024 midsize off-road pickup trucks. We are at the 2023 Detroit Auto Show, and right here I'm going to start with the 2024 refreshed Jeep Gladiator. I'm also going to go to a Toyota booth to show you a brand new next-gen Tacoma, also GM booth to show you the new Colorado ZR2 Bison, and of course Ford booth to show you the new Ford Ranger Raptor as well. So let's start here with the Jeep Gladiator. This one happens to be a Mojave, which is a newish thing for Jeep. They've been doing it for 2-3 years, and this is their Desert Runner. And if you look this way, we're here at the Detroit Auto Show during media days, and they're testing their Camp Jeep trails, so including the big, huge ramp here, which you could walk underneath of and see the Jeep in motion, and also over here, a really steep incline and decline that almost touches the ceiling over there. So that's the setting. But so what do you want when you're buying a mid-size pickup truck? You want a compact, a little bit more small proportion, right, compared to a big half-ton or a heavy-duty truck. And that's exactly what you're getting, of course, with the Gladiator. Then it's likely that you are an adventurous type because you're buying a pickup truck. So of course you have a 5-foot bed on the Gladiator, and actually every truck I'm going to show you today has basically a 5-foot or a 5-foot 2-inch bed, so approximately the same beds. Then you probably want to carry some things in it, right? So payload is important to you. And for 2024, Jeep is stating 1,750 pounds of payload capacity for a 4x4 pickup truck in the midsize segment, which they claim to be class leading. And some other numbers, for example, from Toyota, from GM, or Ford, they list payload numbers for two-wheel drives. But Jeep doesn't make a two-wheel drive Gladiator. They only make 4x4s. For this 2024 model year, they changed the grille, you already saw that, and they also changed the interior. And this is a huge positive in my opinion, because the older interior of the Wrangler and the Gladiator was kind of being dated. They introduced this new 12.3-inch horizontal display, and they added quite a bit of technology, but they still left all the good stuff. They left the lever actuated transfer case for low, for high, auto, and two-wheel drive. Your 8-speed automatic is still here, and your V6 is still here. If you were hoping for more efficiency or a plug-in hybrid in this brand new 2024 update, then I'm sorry, it's not here yet. The Gladiator is still powered by a 3.6-liter Pentastar V6, 285 horsepower, and 260 pound-feet of torque. And also, you should be able to get a choice of two transmissions, a manual or automatic. So most of these are automatics here, so 8-speed automatic. You saw the Mojave, this is the Rubicon. So this is more of a crawler in the Jeep arsenal. And this has been around for many, many years. 20 years, in fact. They were celebrating just a little bit ago. It's trail rated. It has different suspension package from Mojave. So Mojave is meant a little bit more for fast off-roading, and this Jeep is meant a little bit for slower crawling. But they're both really good everyday pickup trucks. By that I mean just driving it, to work and driving it everywhere. This is also showing a half door. And I think the biggest positive of a Gladiator is that you can pop out a couple screws, you take off these doors, you pop off a few fasteners, you pop off the roof, and you go topless. You can even, in an extreme case, fall down the steering, the windshield. So it has that open air capability, but it still tows. Let me show you. Well, you can see the hitch here. Sorry, it's a little bit off-roady. 7,700 pounds, which actually ties this truck for maximum towing in the midsize segment. The 2023 Gladiator starts at just over $38,000 before destination charges. So think about 40 grand. And it might be a little bit more for 2024 model year. This truck goes on sale later this year, just in a few months. There's also a wheelies version that you can update and modify with AEV, American Expedition Vehicle components, with 35-inch tall tires, and even level 2 with 37-inch tall tires from the dealership. So you can order it this way, get a modified truck by AEV, which is warranted by Jeep and AEV, and that's probably the best thing in this segment, is you can modify it right there and have the warranty to do it. So this is the Jeep. You saw its capability. Now let's move on. So I'm gonna snap my fingers and we're gonna be in the next booth. Snap. And I'm in the Ford booth now with the next generation 2024 Ford Ranger. What I'm showing you here is an XLT FX4. Yes, I said the Raptor, but I'll show you that in a second. I just wanted to start here and explain a couple of other things. So when you look at starting prices, like I mentioned, about $38,500 for a 2023 starting price on the Gladiator. Well, when they say name that price for the Gladiator, it's a crew cab 4x4. And the Ranger starts as a extended cab they call Super Cab, two-wheel drive model. So when you look at starting prices, keep in mind that Ford, Toyota, and GM and others, they start with two-wheel drive models, so the prices will be a lot lower for that reason to start. And after you start building them up, you add a four-door crew cab, you add four-wheel drive, the price all of a sudden is about equivalent to where the Jeep is. This truck for 2024 model year starts at about $32,500. And the chassis of this truck is mostly unchanged from the current one, except they made the truck a little bit bigger. It still has a really beefy frame. They made the wheelbase a little bit longer. They made the truck a little bit wider than before, but the overall length is about the same. They also kept powertrains, well, they kept the base powertrain, which is a 2.3 liter turbocharged four-banger, 270 horsepower, 310 pound-feet of torque. So it's not a naturally aspirated V6 like in the Jeep. So this is a lot more torque. And they also have the 2.7 liter twin turbo V6 that you can get in one of these. And the Raptor gets a 3 liter twin turbo V6, excuse me, that has over 400 horsepower. So now, let me show you the interior. So they changed the interior, in a big way, I would say. It's way different from before. This truck goes on sale probably by the end of this year. This one is showcasing their largest vertical orientation screen, about a 12-inch screen. So the orientation of the controls is a bit different. So when you're buying some of these trucks, you have to keep that in mind, that ergonomics may be a little bit different. By the way, I really love these seats. Let me get into this. The Jeep, when you're sitting in the Wrangler, you're sitting a little bit closer to the windscreen. When you're sitting in a Ranger, and this has manual adjustments, this is not the fancier Lariat, I feel like I'm sitting kind of inside the truck instead of a little bit up on top of it, and it's quite comfortable. So FX4 is available, which is an off-road package, gives you a rear locking differential. And Jeep, of course, has a variety of packages too. You don't have to buy a Rubicon or a Mojave. You can buy a Sport or a Sport S and several other Jeep Gladiator models. So like this one has a smaller tire, not as aggressive, but still, we've driven several previous generation Rangers with FX4 packages, and they do just fine. But if you need that edge, let's go this way. If you need an edge, and if you want the most horsepower in the mid-size segment from the factory, here's an example of a Ranger Raptor that's coming to the US. Several of them have been driving around here at the show. There's a blue one over there. There's another one over there. And so what Ford did with these trucks, they didn't go crazy. So you would think they would put the truck on 37s, they'll make it really wide, huge fender flares. They did not do that. Let's walk around this way. They made the truck, the Raptor, a little bit wider, of course, but they gave it over 400 horsepower from the factory. So if you want horsepower, this is where you have to look. But you will have to pay for that. It's a 3-liter twin-turbo V6. And of course it has very fancy suspension. It basically has Bronco Raptor running gear. So it has locking differentials front and rear. It has really fancy suspension design, coils in the back versus the Leaf and the regular Ranger. The Gladiator also has a coil spring suspension, which kind of makes the rear end a little bit more planted. This one has a very unique rear axle design as well. But it starts at 55,000 bucks. So the Jeep started about 40-ish. The regular Ranger starts at about 32.5. This starts at 55K. So if you want horsepower and if you want that Raptor DNA in your pickup truck, yes, that's a great choice. And unfortunately, they're probably going to be kind of rare initially, and dealers might charge adjustments. Okay, so that's Ford. Now let's switch over to the next one, which is General Motors. Bam, we're in the Chevrolet booth now, and I want to show you this latest Chevy Colorado 2024 ZR2 Bison. Well, you've seen the ZR2 before, but you haven't seen a lot of the Bison. So what is this? So we showed you a facelifted Jeep. We showed you basically really refreshed next generation Ranger, and the Colorado truck is also all new for 2023. But for 2024, Chevrolet and American Expedition Vehicles are collaborating together once again to bring us the most badass GM midsize pickup truck. And I know GMC Canyon exists, I know ET4X AEV edition also exists, but this one just, I think, may look a little bit better. That's my personal opinion. So what do we have? So it starts with that ZR2 chassis. So it's a slightly reinforced frame compared to other Chevy Colorado trucks like mine. My personal truck is a Trail Boss. Then, of course, Multimatic DSSV shocks. So while Ford uses Fox for their Raptor, and of course Jeep uses Fox for their Mojave, for example, GM uses Multimatic for their high-end off-roaders. They're not live adjustable, but really super great shocks. Then it has a small lift and has these wheels and tires. So in this case, it's a Goodyear Wrangler Territory MT. By the way, I didn't mention it last, but Ford Ranger Raptor is rolling on BF Goodrich KO3s, not KO2, KO3 tires, which means it's a brand new all-terrain tire that not many people have tested yet. So stay tuned for that. The Ranger is debuting a new tire. This Territory MT though is really great in my opinion. I have one of these, except mine is a 32-inch diameter. This is a 35. So that's almost a 35. That's what they call it. Super nice. Now, front and rear lockers, turbocharged power, 310 horsepower, 430 pound-feet of torque. So horsepower is down compared to a Ranger Raptor. Let's show the front of this beast. Excuse us. But still monstrous torque. 430 pound-feet of torque is a huge number in a mid-size pickup truck. And it rivals V6 engines in Ford's lineup. The AEV edition Bison also gives you a really, really strong steel bumper and up to 5 skid plates. You probably won't see all of them right now, but they use boron steel, which is using a hot stamped process. So usually you would stamp steel kind of, I don't know, in a cold fashion where you're just stamping it in a press. When you stamp boron steel in a hot process, it's basically almost molten and you're stamping it. And it makes it super, super strong, also thin and lightweight. So that's what they use for their skid plates. Pricing is not available yet. So a ZR2 starts at around $50,000 mark, and this will be higher, right? So you can add different options to your ZR2, obviously. For example, there was a Desert Boss package in 2003. It goes away in 2024. I think it goes away in 2024 because this is really the top of the line Colorado now, the Bison that goes on sale soon in a few months as well. Oh, by the way, there's a Ranger Raptor doing a little bit of driving right there. And we'll be driving all of these trucks within a month or two, so stay tuned to TFL, alltfl.com. We'll not only give you these buyer guides, but we'll give you real-world, hands-on driving reviews, both on-road and also, of course, off-road. Let's show the interior really quick here. I can open the door for you, Zach, here. So this is a little bit more similar to the Jeep. So it's a horizontal orientation of the screen. And it's an 11.3 inch screen. So still nothing wrong with this orientation. I have the same generation Colorado. I like the seats. Maybe not as much as Ford seats. I think out of all the trucks I'm gonna show you today, I think I like the Ranger seat just a hair more. And also this one, because it has such a large tire, this is basically almost a 35, they had to put it here because it wouldn't really fit underneath the bed like a normal spare tire would be. So they developed this very smart mounting solution. You could see, you know, AEV does a lot of functional details like, you know, that little support right there for the spare tire, because when you're bouncing off-road in the whoops and you're going fast, there are a lot of different forces, right, that are playing with your truck, and it's important to get it just right, and I believe they've done that. Huge fender flares as well, which makes the truck look amazing, I think. So we don't have pricing for the Bison yet. I am betting it's going to be more expensive than the starting price of the Raptor Ranger. So I'm thinking high 50s or maybe even above 60, over 60,000 bucks for one of these puppies. Of course, you're getting the high output engine as well. Now let's snap and let's go to Toyota. Snap. Which truck am I inside of now? Yes, you guessed it. This is the redesigned, all new Tacoma. And I saved the most important for last. So you saw a little mid-cycle refresh, you saw a little bit more involved next-gen truck at Ford, you saw an all-new truck and then a top dog truck at GM, and now you're seeing an all-new truck, really from the ground up, because they changed the frame, they changed the suspension, they changed the interior, everything. And I can get in here. Look at this. I'm pretty comfortable in the Tacoma. I've been complaining about sitting in the Tacoma truck for many, many years because I felt like I was sitting on the floor with my legs just straight out front of me. But look, they redesigned it. I have a bend in my knee. I feel more comfortable. I have pretty good vision outside of this truck, and I have headroom. So this is a huge change, and I think it's going to be a successful change for them. But like I was saying, they redesigned a lot of aspects of this truck, including the powertrain. I'm sorry, it's really loud. We're near stage here. But they changed the engine. It's now the 2.4 liter turbocharged engine. There will be a hybrid next year. This truck goes on sale this year. They redesigned many aspects of this truck, but they did not go after really class-leading towing numbers, for example. So Toyota is very measured in the way they do things. They don't change their vehicles too often, and also they specifically go after certain criteria. So for example, towing is not a top priority for the Tacoma. If you want to tow more, they say at Toyota, get a Tundra. So you won't tow the most. For example, Chevy Colorado tows about, not the Bison, but the regular Colorado tows up to 7,700 pounds. The Jeep tows up to 7,700 pounds. The Ford tows up to about in that range as well, 7,500 pounds. The Tacoma will be much lower than that, about 6,400 pounds of tow capacity. Let's step outside. I want to show you a little bit about this truck. This is a TRD off-road version. So we first saw that in Colorado at the Overland Expo. I think it will be one of the more popular trim levels because it's not as expensive and high-end as a TRD Pro, but it's still a really good off-road truck. It's rolling on basically 31.6-inch tall tires. So these are not the biggest tires in the world, but they say up to a 33-inch tall tire will fit when done aftermarket without rubbing. That's what Toyota representatives have told me. Of course, brand new style and brand new pricing. We don't have finalized pricing yet, but there's something here. Let me see. Okay, so there's a 24 Tacoma turbocharged engine. No, there's no price here. So yeah, the pricing is not available yet. But a 6-speed manual transmission will come back in this generation. I mean, it didn't go anywhere. It's going to be in this generation as well. But the engine, like I said, 278 horsepower, 317 pound-feet of torque. That's actually just above where the base engine on the Ford is. So I think Toyota has really been targeting Ford with their turbocharged engines when they were thinking about this truck. And then the hybrid version of this truck could get upwards of 26, 27, or maybe even 28 mpg. So if you want the fuel efficiency king, at least for now, it will have to be a Tacoma. It's not going to be the Jeep, it's not going to be the Ford, and it's not going to be the GM truck. Toyota Tacoma already announced their hybrid powertrain. We don't have final EPA numbers yet, but if we can judge by the Toyota Land Cruiser for 2024, which will get upwards of 27 mpg combined, the hybrid Tacoma could be really a leader in fuel efficiency in this segment. And I would put this truck at about $45,000 in a TRD off-road trim right there. So once again, pricing is not available yet. So that's about it. You probably are asking, where's Nissan Frontier? What's going on with that? Well, Nissan is not at this show, but they have the Frontier Pro 4X, of course. That's still on sale for 2024. And they are teasing us with a hard body trim level as well. So we'll have to see how that plays out, and we'll give you all the news at alltfl.com in one place. Thank you very much.